One often hears that when an oil separator has failed, the result is oil carryover from the compressor. Rarely is a failed oil separator due to the separator itself, and a failed separator is the end result, not the cause in most instances. So how does oil carryover happen? One main cause is that the oil scavenge line gets clogged. The result is fine dust and debris that bypass the oil filter and accumulate in small passages and orifices within the compressor or air tank. When this accumulates, it can block oil passages, leading to oil starvation in the compressor, which may cause bearing failure, a locked-up compressor, and oil carryover. This video provides a guide on replacing the scavenge line on Vanair's underdeck systems to prevent issues when operating the rotary screw air compressor. Before operating any piece of equipment, please read and adhere to all safety and warning labels provided in your underdeck operational manual. Part of this responsibility is to read and be familiar with the contents of this owner's manual before operating or performing any maintenance actions. Tools that you will need for this installation include a 9/16 open wrench, a tool vise, a can of silicone spray or oil, a hose cutting tool or a cut-off wheel, a pair of diagonal cutting pliers, and a marker. In addition, some form of compressed air should also be used, preferably shop air. The replacement scavenge line requires 1/4 inch wire-braided hydraulic tubing rated for a pressure of 255 bar at 3,700 psi. Be sure to release all air pressure prior to removing the scavenge line. Let's begin by locating our scavenge line. The scavenge line is located on the dry side of the air oil separator tank. Using a 9/16 open-ended wrench, loosen and remove the scavenge line at the separator tank. The other end of the scavenge line is located towards the bottom of the air end. Using a 9/16 open-ended wrench, loosen and remove the scavenge line on the air end. Carefully cut any zip ties that may be holding the scavenge line to other system connections. Carefully remove the scavenge line from the underdeck system. If possible, remove the plastic loom from around the hose so it can be used when attaching the new one. Now let's measure for our replacement hose. As you lay the hosing out, your measurement will be at the ferrule piping. It is recommended to use a crimp on or elbow fitting at the tank location for the scavenge line. Attach this end of your hose to the scavenge line fitting located at the air oil separator tank. Route the scavenge line hose to the air end, ensuring it does not come into contact with any surfaces that could cause abrasion or wear. Your 1/4 inch hose should come with reusable fittings. Be sure the fitting is completely tightened before measuring the hose. This will give you an accurate measurement. Attach this fitting to the air end's scavenge line fitting. This will give us our final measurement for the length of hose we will need. Mark the hose here. If you have a hose cutter, we recommend using this to cut the scavenge line. If not, you can use a hose cutting tool or a cut-off wheel and tool vise. Using a tool vise, place the marked hose close to the edge of the vise to secure the hose. Loosely secure the hose in the vise itself. The hose is manufactured with a wire-braided material, and over-tightening will compromise this material and ruin the integrity of the hose. Be sure the hose is straight in the vise to make an even and straight cut through the hose itself. You don't want your cut to be crooked or at an angle. Before cutting the hose, be sure to use a smooth, even paced approach to cutting the hose. Not too fast and not too slow, as this will burn the wires in the hose. Cut the hose at the desired mark. Remove the hose from the vise and using compressed air, blow off the inner portion of the tubing. This will remove any rubber, metal particles, or abrasive grit left over from cutting the hose. If these items are not caught by the oil filter, this debris will collect in small passages and orifices in the compressor or air tank. Install your left-hand threaded ferrule counterclockwise into the 1/4 inch tubing until it bottoms out in the tubing. Do not over-tighten. Place the ferrule and hose tubing into the tool vise to secure. Using Vanair oil or silicone spray, lubricate the stem of the ferrule. Insert the stem into the assembly. If using silicone spray, the stem will start to tighten quickly. Use a 9/16-inch wrench to turn it clockwise. Apply some pressure as needed until you feel the assembly bottom out. Be careful not to over-tighten. Repeat this same process for the other end of your tubing. When reinstalling the scavenge line, we highly recommend that you place the wire material hosing within plastic flexible tubing or loom to protect the hose itself from rubbing against any metal or brackets. We are now ready to reinstall our scavenge line. For demonstration purposes, crimped attachments are shown with 90-degree fittings. Connect one end of the scavenge line to the air separator tank. Tighten using your 9/16 wrench. When rerouting the new scavenge line, take care in weaving it behind the separator tank's brackets and underneath all tubing leading to the air compressor. Tighten the scavenge line to the air end using a 9/16 wrench. Zip tie the scavenge line to other system connections or hosing. Cut off any loose zip tie ends. Once you have tightened and secured your new scavenge line, check your oil levels to be sure they are still at proper operating levels. If not, refill as needed. This concludes replacing the scavenge line on Vanair's Underdeck rotary screw air compressor systems.